welcome. But for the passion, not the fashion, the YouTube channel, I'm here with the one and only Harley Flanagan from the Cro Mags.
How are you?
Hey, what's up, man?
Well, we're in the middle of a tour and playing every night. It's going really well. Having a great time, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I just saw your post from the German tour date. That was fucked up.
Hey, you know, shit happens and people talk a lot, and sometimes they make shit up just to justify whatever it is that they're actually doing. I can't control these things. You know, I would have liked to have done the show, but it'll also be nice to have a day off. We've been playing every day, so.
I imagine.
Yeah.
And first of all, how did you survive the pandemic, and how do you see the future?
I survived the pandemic like everybody else. I stayed in my house while we were in quarantine, and fortunately my wife was able to work remotely because she does a lot of her business online, so we didn't suffer as much financially as a lot of people I know, which is fortunate because I was out of work for almost 2 years because, you know, I'm a jiu-jitsu instructor, and that's about as close as you could possibly get to somebody. So during a pandemic, that kind of, there is not a lot of jiu-jitsu going on. But, you know, it wasn't so bad for me as it was for a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people in my building were sick. My next door neighbor, who I knew very well, he died. I saw them carrying him out on a stretcher, you know, and he never came back. And it was pretty intense in New York. There was so many dead bodies at the morgues and stuff that they had to have freezer trucks outside for the extra bodies. So, you know, I mean, it was definitely real, and it was pretty intense. But you know, it's not the first time the human race has had to deal with intense things and pandemics and contagions and disease, and I'm sure it won't be the last, but hopefully we learned a little bit from this time, and I'm definitely a lot cleaner than I used to be. I wash my hands all the fucking time. I wash my food before I put it in the fridge. You know, I do a lot of things that I never thought of before. Yeah. I did get vaccinated. I did get my boosters, you know, and I actually wound up getting corona before this tour. But I don't know if it's because of the vaccination or if it was because it was a weaker strain, but for me it was not so bad, fortunately. I felt like I had allergies, you know, for a few days, but so I should be pretty good now. I mean, I got, you know, I'm vaccinated, boosted, and I had the shit, so I think I'm at least safe for the tour.
And you live quite healthy?
Oh yeah, I'm healthy as fuck. I mean, I exercise every day. I eat really good. You know, I mean, I'm healthier than most fucking 20-year-olds.
Yeah, I see
25-year-olds. You know, you gotta work pretty hard to be fucking healthier than me. You know.
And there's a movie coming out, right?
Yeah, there's.
Can you tell me about it?
I can tell you a little bit. I don't know a lot. I know that it's actually probably starting to. What initially started as a movie is looking like it's going to be a 3 or 4 part miniseries, and the director is a guy named Rex Miller, who directed a movie called one of many of his movies. He just one of his newest ones came out, a documentary called Citizen Ash about the tennis player Arthur Ashe. And it was a really good movie. You know, I knew who Arthur Ashe was. You know, he was a famous black tennis player who wound up dying of AIDS. I remember that, but I didn't know a lot about him. And I'll tell you, the movie was really, really fascinating. And I could care less about tennis. So like, if this guy was able to make a movie that was like, even the tennis parts, I was just like, wow. I'm like watching it like, oh fuck, you know. So if he can do that about a tennis player, I'm pretty confident that this one's going to be really pretty good. And there's some big name producers behind it, like who produced a lot of really big stuff. And the cast is fucking incredible. I mean, you know, it's mostly not hardcore people in it, but the few hardcore people that are in it are like, you know, Henry Rollins, Karel, Jennifer, Keith Morris, Roger Merritt. You know, it's all people that really, in my opinion, represent the roots of hardcore. And these are all people that I've known almost my entire life, so they were able to speak on a lot of different things in my life, and it should be pretty good. You know, some of the other people, Jocko Willink, I don't know if you know who he is. He's a famous Navy SEAL. He's one of the highest decorated Navy SEALs in America, and he's a bad motherfucker, man. And he's in it. Matt Serra, UFC fighter, he's in it. Henzo Gracie, Michael Imperioli. There's a lot of people that you wouldn't expect, you know.
No.
Chris Stein from Blondie. There's a lot of people people who knew me as a kid, and people who know me now. So I haven't seen any of the interviews. I was in parts of them with them, so I know a little bit. Flea's in it, and Chili Peppers, my twin brother. Yeah. So, but there's just a lot of really people that I really respect. You know, people that I have a lot of love and respect for. So it's really, you know, I'm honored that that people that I look up to, as it turned out, they have an equal amount of respect and love for me, and they have over like 70 hours worth of interviews, so it's pretty, it should be interesting. I mean, it's not about the Cro Mags, it's not about hardcore, it's about my life's journey, which those things are very much a part of, but are only a part of, you know.
Because your life was, I of course I know you for some years, because I see a lot of pictures, videos from you. You were very young when you joined the scene, the New York hardcore scene, right?
Actually, that's completely the wrong way to put it. I didn't join any scene. I kind of created it.
Yeah. And
you know, I didn't.
sorry.
You know, I mean, I was, if anything, I was a punk rocker when punk rock was happening. So hardcore was just a byproduct of punk, and most of the people who were the so-called first generation of New York hardcore people were in the audience at Stimulators shows.
Yeah.
So if anything, the Stimulators and a small group of other bands who were not hardcore either, that's what caused hardcore to happen. So I never got into hardcore. I was one of the people in the laboratory inventing it. And, you know, and to be honest, I really have very little to do with what New York hardcore is or represents now. In fact, I don't even like most of what it represents. I mean, but you know.
Yeah, but you are you're one of the known faces.
Yeah, I know, but it's kind of like, you know, what are you gonna do? It's like, it's kind of like being Frankenstein, you know. It's like one day your monster stands up and you're like, damn, that shit's ugly, you know, and stupid, you know. But, you know, to be fair, you know, a lot of these people were imitating a lot of the ugly stupidity of my youth. So, you know, I have to own that, and I have to take responsibility for the fact that, you know, a lot of people were walking in my footsteps, and I didn't walk a very good path for a lot of my life. So if I set a shitty example, you know, I've spent a lot of my time trying to set a good example since then. I think it was just that the music was powerful, and that's what really won people, but the message was one of anger and desperation and frustration and just like a lot of violence, because that's what I was experiencing. You know, it was a really very violent era, and most of the kids who came into the hardcore scene afterwards, and especially from the 90s, didn't come from the same type of world that I came from. So they were trying to recreate a certain type of anger and violence and this and that really was, in my opinion, kind of unnecessary. Because, you know, in the early days of punk and hardcore, you know, punks and hardcore kids and skinheads were always the targets for everybody else, whether it was gang members or the local Puerto Rican gangs or the local black gangs or the local whatever gangs. You know, we were always the ones getting fucking attacked and this and that. So I grew up in an era where everything around me was violent. And you really didn't get any respect unless you were. And you certainly wouldn't survive unless you could deal with it. I feel like a lot of the hardcore that came later was like, you know, people trying to create that imagery without having the same pressure on them. So you get a lot of like middle class people and a lot of people like kind of faking it, trying to act a certain way. And the worst part of it to me was all the gangs and shit that came out of it, because, you know, when I was a kid, that really was not a New York thing, you know. I mean, there was always gangs in hardcore, especially on the West Coast and shit, but I always saw the hardcore scene in the punk rock community as its own worldwide gang, if you will call it. But I didn't see it as a gang. I just saw it as like, you know, when you saw another punk rocker walking down the street, and if you were in a different city, you would be like, yo, you know, you like this band, you like that. Like there was an instant bond, some sort of a chemistry. And I think that as time went on, I think a lot of that changed, and I think it started becoming more like crews and who do you represent and this and that, and just a lot of negative bullshit that I, you know, first of all, as a parent, I don't dig that kind of shit, you know, because my son was in a real gang where his friends were out like shooting each other and killing each other and shit, dying in the fucking streets. So when I hear a bunch of like fucking middle class like phonies singing songs about tough guy bullshit and shit that they didn't do, I'm just like, dude, shut up, man. You know, you're actually setting a shitty example, and also you're full of shit because that's not even how you grew up.
Yeah.
You know, so whatever. I mean, you know, I came from a different world, man. I got a lot of fucking trauma from all that shit, a lot of PTSD, you know. People don't understand. You cannot, if you really live a life of violence, you get fucked up in your soul. It's not just like, you know, you don't just, I'm not proud of everything I did, you know. And, you know, I know you wanted to ask me about skinhead stuff and this and that, what did that represent to me? And I'll, to be honest with you, man, skinhead shit, that just, to me, represented violence. You know, people can talk all this bullshit, oh, working class, unity, bullshit. If that's what you thought, then you weren't the same kind of skinhead as me. In fact,
I know the skinhead. Look at his back of his head.
But I'm just saying, hey man, you know, I know a lot of people with tattoos who don't mean shit.
Yeah.
You know, but my point is like, you know, for me it was like, we were the fucking, whereas the punk rockers would walk down the street and get beat up by other people, we didn't.
Yeah.
You know, and in fact, we did the opposite. We were the ones who were bringing the violence. And it was a result of my environment. It was a result of the things that had happened to me in my youth. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'm really a violent, angry person that I thought I was. I spent 50 years being a very angry, very violent person who only knew how to react with violence and aggression most of the time. Yeah. And that was because of what I learned. I don't think that that's human nature, or, you know, I mean, you could take a kid and raise him one way and he'll be a machete soldier in, you know, killing people. Yeah. But you take that same kid and raise him another way and he can be like a lawyer, a doctor, or somebody who's bringing peace and kindness to the world. It really, what you put in is kind of what you get out. And, you know, I don't approve or agree with all that fake fucking thuggery bullshit that's in hardcore. When I'm on stage, yeah, I'm singing a lot of old songs that are about violence and shit I did, but at this point, it's really it's more like of a confessional. It's not like I'm up there saying, this is what's cool. Yeah. And when I was writing those songs, I wasn't writing it because I thought it was cool. I was writing it because that was my life. Yeah. It's not like I was glorifying. This was my experience. This is what was going on. Yeah. So that's what I wrote about. But in hindsight, I left a lot of fucking people on the ground, like fucked up in my life. I had friends of mine who fucking were afraid of me. People didn't want to look me in my eyes, you know, like I cast a very wide shadow when I was a kid. I mean, you know, I think everybody in hardcore knows this, and even the people who don't want to admit it they know it. Even the people who used to be on my dick and don't like me anymore, they know it.
Yeah.
Somewhere in their heart, they know. And, you know.
Can I be honest to you?
No, lie to me.
No, I'm a metal guy, but I also really like hardcore. But to be honest, then I could be. I was also nervous because I saw, of course, I know you from the past, and I want to tell you because I'm autistic, you know, and I wanted to be honest with that because sometimes I'm.
Hey man, you know
that's,
what?
It's something that.
Brother, I think everybody is on a spectrum.
Yeah, and he knows that. He's like a brother to me. That's why I'm honest.
Well, you know what?
For me, it was quite of. You know, you have a tough
Life made me tough. I'm actually a nice guy in my life.
Yeah, I know that from your videos.
Just for you to be able to come out and tell me that, that's huge. Because a lot of people are struggling with different things. You know, I've got PTSD.
Yeah,
everybody's on a spectrum. There's no such thing as what the fuck is normal.
Yeah, I know.
There is no such thing. Everybody is in varying degrees of life and existing and chemical shit that that we're made of. So, you know, I mean, fuck, you know, one of my sons was diagnosed as autistic when he was little, and you know what? The one doctor was like, this kid is like no other kid I've worked with. You know, this is going to be a distant memory. He's not even going to remember this shit. You'll remember this. And he was right. It just took a lot of work. It took a lot of physical therapy, speech therapy, and just putting the attention in. A lot of parents don't put the time in that you need to put in to help your kids through those things.
That's cool.
You know, and he doesn't even remember the shit. He was in special school for a while.
Okay.
And when he got to a certain age, I said, you know what? He's gonna learn his behavior from the kids around him. And if I'm putting him around people that really need help, he's gonna grow up to really need help. So I fucking put him in regular school, and I was like, if this doesn't work, we'll deal with it then.
Yeah.
But I fucking treated him
like a normal
kid. And one of the best things that I did was putting him in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Because as you know, with things like autism, it's a neurological thing. Yeah. So it's like one of the things is the kids with autism don't really like to be touched. They don't like to get picked up. They don't want to be hugged. They don't like to make eye contact.
Yeah, I do.
You know, and that's the first thing that you have to get past.
Yeah.
And when you're doing jiu-jitsu, you have to get touched.
Yeah, I know.
And if you don't fucking make contact, your ass is gonna be on the ground looking at the fucking ceiling.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now that was the thing that fucking changed, because all of a sudden you're getting gripped, you're getting touched, all this shit that you don't want, all these things that are uncomfortable for you, you got no fucking choice.
Yeah.
And that's how you fucking get through life, man. You challenge the things that make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's something it's my experience of the metal and hardcore and punk community in the Netherlands and Germany and in Europe here. And also some in America, we are all union, you know. And that's something we, not union, but I have always a family around me with friends, and so we really.
I used to think that. I can honestly not say that I feel that way anymore.
No.
I mean, I enjoy being on tour and meeting fans and seeing old friends. I've just had really difficult and bad experiences, so I have a hard time trusting the people in the New York hardcore community. But you know what? It doesn't matter to me as much as it used to, you know, because at the end of the day, everybody everybody's got to own their shit, and everybody's got to face who they are, and I know who I am, and they know who they are.
You can look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Hey. And what can you tell me about your most recent releases and what's coming up next?
Well, the last two records in the beginning, I think is one of my better records. Yeah. You know, I really tried to include a lot of elements from all the different eras of Cro Mags music. Like, I tried to just what is my favorite aspect of each record, and I tried to take those things and create something new. Mm-hmm. So it had a little bit of the feeling of the whole history, but yet is fresh. That was a fun fun thing for me. It was a lot of fun. And I had like my kids singing backup, and I had a bunch of my young students from jiu-jitsu singing back. And it was just a cool, and you know, I got this guy playing cello that I met in the subway. There was just a lot of a lot of cool shit. All the samples were, I recorded them from my window. I recorded them in the train. I really just wanted to kind of make a record that was in a way almost like a hardcore Pink Floyd album, you know, like something that just like sucks you in and makes you like sad. So I really liked that album. And then within the beginning, I mean with 2020, we were supposed to go on tour, and Gary came to town and we were practicing, and then for the tour, and then the fucking pandemic started. So that's why we wound up doing the internet show that we did, which was like pretty much one of the first ones, and it had like over 200,000 people watching it at the same fucking time. So then, you know, he got stuck in New York for 7 months because he lives in Hamburg now. So we were like, what do we do? You know, we can't tour. What do we do? So I was like, let's write an album. So me and Gary went in and we tracked, and then we just built the album from there. And I have about 14 or 15 new songs almost tracked, like the drums are done, the bass is done. I just haven't finished the guitar, haven't finished the vocals. But so the next album's like half done. And I'm already writing songs for the one that's gonna follow that. So I'm on fire, dude. I don't think I have been this creative, this inspired, this productive maybe ever in my life.
And there's also much change lyric-wise and
hey man, you know what? I always write from my experience and from my heart, you know. So you know, whatever it is, it's going to be honest, it's going to be true, and it's going to be what it is, you know.
I want to jump back to the old days a little bit, if you will. About the high days of New York hardcore in the 80s and 90s. How different was it, and do you miss those days sometimes?
No, I don't.
No?
You know, I mean, I saw a lot of great shows, but you know, I'm very disappointed with a lot of my old friends from back then.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know, I don't have to get into it. I think everybody knows the stories.
Yeah.
But you know what? My life is better now than it ever was. I mean, in the 80s, I was living in a fucking squat with no running water and no electricity.
Yeah.
What's great about that?
Nothing.
You know, I was running around in the street kicking people half to fucking death. What's great about that? I was fucking huffing glue and smoking dust, and fucking before then I started, you know, shooting drugs and every fucking thing. There's nothing great about any of this shit. No. You know, people like to romanticize the shit and romanticize certain eras. You know what? That's fine. That's beautiful. That's whatever. That's what movies are made of, I guess. You know, that's, you know, but I'm in a better place than I've ever been.
But you were always a very creative kid.
Yeah.
I saw with making poetry and making music with your arms.
That was my outlet. If I didn't have that, I'd be fucking in prison for fucking homicide. You know, I wouldn't have fucking lasted. Had I not been given the gift of music and creativity, if I didn't have that outlet, I would have been the worst motherfucking arch criminal fucking ever. Okay. You know, because I had a lot of people were inspired by me to do a lot of fucking crazy shit. And had I only had criminality and violence at my disposal, this would be a whole different fucking story.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people should be grateful that I have music in my life. I know I am. You know,
music is the best medication in the world.
Well, yeah, and you know what? From also being able to share some sort of message. You know, now it's really partially for me. It's like about some kind of redemption, because I inspired a lot of really unintentionally. I inspired a lot of really negative and violent shit in my youth, and now I have an opportunity to say to people that, you know, violence is not the answer for all your problems, and just because bad things happen to you doesn't mean that you have to continue the negativity. The ripple effects, they go for generations. It doesn't just... So, you know, I had to go through my own hell to come to some state of awareness of myself, and hopefully I can save some other people some of the journey that I had to go through, if I can take one person and maybe fix their life instead of wreck their life, then hallelujah, man.
Okay. And I also I follow you for since the 88, personal, and I saw back in the mid 80s you shared the stage with a lot of hard rock and metal bands.
Yeah.
How was the feedback from metalheads in those days on your music? Because there was still a boundary between metal.
I'll be honest, man. We always did really well with the metal crowds because we were always a tighter, musically better band than a lot of hardcore bands. A lot of hardcore bands are just like, and then back then, I know, in my personal opinion, most of the New York hardcore bands kind of sucked. They weren't like good musicians. They didn't really write good songs. It was just about the energy and the scene. You know, let's just be honest. You know, like most of those bands at least had at least one really shitty musician. So if it wasn't a shitty drummer that made them suck, it was a shitty bass player or a shitty guitar. Like there was no super groups in New York hardcore until the Cro Mags came along. And that's why we appealed to metalheads. We would play shows with a band like Venom and take a fucking crowd of metalheads who were walking in going, fuck you, skinheads suck. And they'd walk out like, whoa. So like we were musically we were able to do what most hardcore bands were not able to do. With the exception of bands like Suicidal Tendencies, you know, us and them were really two of the first bands that were able to transcend the fishbowl of hardcore. And that's
of course, man.
I don't think they were ever a metal band. I think they called an album crossover and everybody thought that it was crossover. They didn't fucking do nothing different. They sounded the way they always sounded. It was real fast and real slow. There was nothing metal about that shit. What was metal about it? There was nothing metal about it.
The later albums were, in my opinion, more and more metal.
Yeah, after they pulled the wool over everybody's eyes, but come on, man, that shit wasn't metal.
But
it was hardcore. They just called an album crossover. It was a great fucking idea.
Yeah, okay.
But they were fucking hardcore band. There's nothing fucking metal about. What the fuck is metal about that?
Okay.
I mean, I'm asking.
Yeah.
Is that metal? If it's metal, it's not the metal I
see it as crossover trash, hardcore trash.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know, I'm not saying I don't like those guys. They're cool people.
Felix is one of my best friends in America.
Hey, man, I've known those guys since the 80s, man. I remember them when they first came to New York. I just never looked at them as a metal band.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we were more metal than them just based on the fact that I fucking listened to Venom and Black Sabbath and fucking, you know, Priest and shit like that. Those guys weren't metal, but, you know, hey, man, sell more records. God bless. I love them.
And in the 90s it changed a bit with, of course, Madball, Biohazard. And do you consider yourself as one of the pioneers of that scene?
I am a pioneer of all of that shit, and none of those guys would, you know, we gave them the ingredients. Yeah.
And you were playing a lot more with those bands in the 90s than in the...
I never played. I think I did one show with Madball, maybe.
Okay.
I played with Biohazard a couple times.
But sorry about so you are very active on social media.
Not as much as I used to be. Instagram killed my account, so I'm I'm a little reserved. I'm kind of like done with, you know, I do it now just because, but.
Do you think it's important to be on social media these days?
You know what? I think it's fucking annoying, and I think everybody's gotten sucked into the habit of it because they psychologically create it in the same way that they create slot machines and gambling.
Yeah.
Like they literally use the same mechanisms to trigger people's dopamine. You know, so every time they get a like, they get a little excitement. Yeah. And it's just like, so it's really just mind fucking games by, you know, fucking Big Brother, really, at the end of the day. But you know what? You can use it in a positive way. You know, we saw how like was it Twitter? Yeah, that pretty much started the whole revolution over there, you know, with like people started rising up against their governments, and the only way they had was to communicate through fucking, you know, we're all getting together. So I mean, everything can be used in a positive way. I try to use it to promote my shows, to promote the stuff I'm selling, things I'm doing. It can be used correctly, but you know, I think it's a lot of sensory overload. I don't necessarily think, you know, I get really tired of seeing phones in the air at my shows. I'd rather see people dancing or moving or fucking picking their nose, man. But fuck, you know.
Like back in the day when you, what have you done during the gaps of your career in the 90s and 2000s?
A lot of drugs.
A lot of drugs. Okay. Any comments further? More comments?
Nah, you know, I mean, it's like if I wasn't around, there was a reason. You know? Well, I mean, actually, there was a good 10 years that I was raising my kids.
Yeah.
So, like, I stopped. I wasn't touring and I wasn't doing shit because I became a father, and I had 2 sons back to back. So that became the priority of my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I was like out touring with big bands right when that happened. We were opening up shows that like Iron Maiden was on and Slayer and this and that. But you know, then I had 2 sons, and
one is with you.
One is working with me on this tour. He's selling my
yeah.
merchandise. He's 19. You know, I thought it'd be a good way for him to see the world and travel a little bit and have some fun and make a few bucks doing it. So
and drinking the first beer with you.
We had our first beer, yeah.
I saw it on social media.
I mean, I know it wasn't his first beer, but we, you know, we had a drink together at a bar, and it was fun. You know?
Cool, man.
I actually went to a coffee shop with him the other day too. So you know,
over here in the Netherlands.
Yeah, hey, look, man, he's a young adult. He does what he does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna get on his ass about doing pretty much normal shit. You know, at least he's not fucking doing hard drugs. He's not fucking out. Bro, at his age, the shit that I was doing. I'm just grateful that.
He's quite.
I'm just happy that he's hanging out with me and he's not fucking doing like really sketchy, dangerous shit at this point in his life. So if I can be around my son, we can have a drink or we can go, you know, once in a while. That's a fucking good thing, you know, because I love the kid and watching him grow up and become a young man is like, it's a beautiful thing. And the fact that he feels comfortable enough to do that with me makes me fucking happy.
And he's also in the hardcore metal music.
Yeah, he likes some hardcore. He likes hip hop. He likes some metal. He, you know, yesterday he was really listening to a lot of Bad Religion, but usually he's listening to some new hip hop shit that I've never heard of. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, but you know.
That's cool.
Yeah, man, I love the kid. I can't wait till my other son is 18 and I can bring him out with me. You know?
Okay. Hey, and I saw an interview where you're talking about the midlife crisis bands, and that was something I saw that with the girl with the spikes. I saw that you were
She's
talking.
She's a sweetheart. No, you know what? I was just kind of laughing. I was kind of making a joke. It's just
Rebellion Fest, where you're talking about.
Yeah, you know, because it's like it's cool and everything, but like, hey, man. Maybe I'm just a vain motherfucker, but I feel like if you're gonna be up there fucking putting on a show, man, you gotta keep your shit together, man. You know, look, my mother was a stripper, so I was like, you know, when you fucking don't look good on the pole anymore, it's time to retire. You know, I feel like if you're gonna be up there playing shows, you gotta stay in shape. You gotta be able to put on a good show. Yeah. Most of these guys are just going out because it's the only fucking money they can make. You know, it's just like, fuck, dude, you're gonna be up on stage in front of a fucking 30,000 people. Do some fucking sit-ups. Stop being a fucking drunken shitbag all the time.
I was laughing when you talk.
You know, I'm just like, it's like a bunch of grandpas with their 3 mohawks. Like, and I'm just like, you know, that's fine. I'm not saying that you get old and you should stop having fun, but look, man, if you're a motherfucking performer, if you're an athlete or a musician, you owe it to your fucking public to keep yourself physically together.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fucking inspire people. I'm not just up there like, fucking playing 30, 40-year-old songs. Pay me now. Yeah. No, man, I fucking work out every day so that I can go up on stage and fucking kill. When I hit that stage, I am motherfucking, my intention is to fucking level the place. Yeah. I'm going in there like a motherfucking, like, Attila the Hun, you know, taking no fucking prisoners. And now I'm learning how to do it with a little bit more positivity. You know, it's like really the only place I can release that shit, you know? It's like I try not to get in fights and shit. I try not to get angry as much anymore. But when I do have that shit, I go to the academy. I get my ass kicked by bigger, badder, younger black belts. I fucking get my Muay Thai coach and he kicks the shit out of me. And whenever I start thinking I'm fucking doing real good, he fucking lets me know that I'm nowhere near as good as him. You know, and it's very humbling and it gives me a place to vent that shit. And so that's how I deal with life when I'm home. And when I'm on tour, I have that 1 hour where I can just go up there and fucking tear the fucking place up. And
because you're into jiu-jitsu fighter and
I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt and I'm Muay Thai and you know, I grew up fighting and now I still love the sport. I still love to test myself and I still like to be physically active. That's why my shows are the way they are. I train for this shit.
You're also vegetarian, right?
I've been a vegetarian since 1982.
I think it helps to keep you healthy?
Absolutely. Because I'm not walking around with 20, 30 pounds of undigested shit in my stomach and I'm not putting all kinds of fucking crazy preservatives and this and that and everything else. You know, the worst thing that I'll have is once in a while I'll have a Coca-Cola if that's the only thing they have at a restaurant, or if
I'll flip you around.
Yeah, you know, like I'll drink once in a while. You know, I have beer, I'll have some vodka, I don't give a fuck, I'm not straight edge, I'll smoke some weed. I don't fucking drink every day, you know.
That's great.
I drink once in a while. And if I can, you know, that's what I'm saying, you know, too much of anything, even a good thing, can be too much.
Everything what the word too for is a bit
everything in you know, the right amounts.
And tonight you're gonna play with Hometown Crew and Pressure Pact. Have you checked the bands? Because do you still follow the new scene at the moment?
Bro, I haven't followed the scene since like the early 80s. Okay. Like early 80s. I think I've heard Agnostic Front's first record. I don't, you know what? I listen to so many different types of music. And this is actually my, it's not because I don't like new bands and shit. Yeah. I made the mistake of listening to some new bands a while ago. Well, they're not new anymore, but I thought Terror was new. What the fuck do I know? And this other band, Red Death, I was listening to them, and then I was writing a song one day, and then I realized, oh fuck, this shit sounds kind of like that. So it's not that I don't like what any of these bands are doing, but I don't want to steal anybody else's sound. You absorb shit when you listen to it, and it gets in your subconscious. Yeah. So I have always listened to things outside of hardcore because...
What's the strangest thing you listen to?
Oh Christ. I listen to I listen to everything from fucking like Mongolian fucking chanting to fucking Usher to fucking reggae, jazz. I listen to so much fucking weird shit. I listen to more R&B than I listen to anything. I only listen. The only hardcore I really listen to is the shit from back in the day. You know, I listen, and not even much of that. Like I listen to the Bad Brains.
Yeah, I
listen to Black Sabbath. You know, if I want to hear old shit, like I still listen to the shit that inspired me then. Still inspires me now.
And then
I still like Minor Threat. I still like the Bad Brains. I still like Negative Approach. No, I never liked Youth of Today. I didn't like any of that generation. I didn't like Go Fucking Real Biscuits and all that shit. I Crumbsuckers and this and that. That shit was way after my time. This generation was after I lost interest. Those are the Bridge and Tunnel kids. Those weren't my people. Those were like fans of mine who started making bands. Yeah.
But
I love Ray Capo and Parcel. I love those guys.
Yeah.
But I wasn't listening to that shit back then. That was like, little kids going to the matinee, playing hardcore. I was a fucking hooligan. I didn't give a fuck about a bunch of little kids playing hardcore. You know.
Now if you have time, check out Pressure Pact from Tilburg. They're playing tonight. They're really cool.
You gotta understand. By the time those kids came up, I was like, what the fuck is this fucking shit? Like they're fucking playing like, wait, is this like, what's that game that you jump around and the fucking shit on the ground, like, hopscotch.
But they used to,
it's like playground shit.
Do you still do you still remember the first record you ever bought?
Yeah, the first 3 records I ever bought were Herbie Hancock, Secrets, and Headhunter, and Stevie Wonder, Music in the Key of Life.
Okay.
And then shortly after that, I got a record that had just came out, Nevermind the Bollocks, and Neat, 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 and Young, Loud, and Snotty, and a stack of singles from Stiff Records, which included The Damned, Reckless Eric, Nick Lowe, and Ian Dory. And I said, what the fuck? And I'll tell you right now that, and The Clash's first album.
Okay.
So my first punk albums had just come out. It was The Clash, The Pistols, The Damned, and The Dead Boys. I didn't get the Ramones till after them. But I've known the Ramones since like 78 or 79. So I knew them before I actually had their albums in my collection. How many people could say that?
And do you always enjoy coming to Europe?
I fucking love it, man. I
Well,
love it. I
Netherlands?
love the Netherlands. I really do, and I'm so happy that my son's here and he's getting new experiences, and it's just opening his eyes a little bit. And I love Europe. I love coming here, even when I'm not on tour. I just like to travel, and it's really nice to meet the fans and see that I haven't been purely a negative influence, that I've also been a positive one. I take a little bit of comfort in that.
You've been in the Patronaat yesterday in Haarlem.
Yeah.
Have you also visited Amsterdam the last 2 days?
We did stop there on our way through, and just like me and my son just went, visited a coffee shop,
Red
and
light
he's like,
district?
well, you can't really avoid walking down those streets. They're there. I mean, but it was.
Have you showed him the red light district?
It's hard not to see, but it's not what it used to be. So it wasn't.
No, it's not. It's not.
But
And last question: what can we expect from you in the near future?
And who knows, man? Hopefully, I'll be alive a really long time and making a lot of music and doing a lot of shows. I live every day as it comes. You can make all the plans you want, and that's when God laughs at you.
Yeah.
I plan on making more albums. I plan on touring a lot more, and I plan on making a lot of fucking money so I can live a great life.
Yeah.
People are always like, oh, you gotta, DIY, you gotta save, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, fuck, man, I wanna live good. I've already fucking lived in the streets. I've already lived in squats. Fuck this shit. Put out my movie, make me some money. Ka-chink. I'm not gonna forget where I came from. I never will. But there's nothing wrong with succeeding at life, or fucking making good money, or having a good house, and having. Really, what money does is gives you options. And that's what you want in life. You want to make options for yourself. That's why you should always try to educate yourself, no matter in what way. You have to make as many options for yourself so you can do this. And if that doesn't work out, then you can do this. Right now, I'm trying to show my son, look, man, you can fucking sell merchandise at these big shows for big bands, friends of mine, like Band Religion, this and that. And you make a percentage of what you sell. That's fucking good money.
That's awesome.
Or you could learn how to do sound, and you can fucking go on tour, and you can mix the bands. There's so many options.
Yeah.
Because for poor people especially, we don't have a lot of options. So we gotta try really fucking hard to make them for ourselves. Otherwise we wind up doing illegal shit and going to jail and ruin our lives and take all of our options away. So poor people, people of color, people, poor white people in Eastern Europe, shit, we gotta make options for ourselves. That's like, hard times are coming your way, motherfucker, and you gotta fucking know how to get through them, and you gotta make as many options and try to just make good decisions, man. I made a lot of bad ones. I'm hoping that I can inspire people to make some good ones.
So actually, you can say music saved your life.
Oh fuck yeah, it did. Music was definitely. It also did a lot of damage.
Yeah, okay.
I was 12 years old, hanging out at rock and roll clubs with like Johnny Thunders and the fucking Ramones, getting my dick sucked by like 20-year-old strippers and shit, So,
well,
I started like doing heavy drugs by the time I was 15 because that's all I saw around me. So there's a downside too.
Yeah,
I had a very fucked up life because my mom was a stripper and I fucking grew up in clubs. I've been in clubs my whole fucking life. I've been touring since motherfucking 1979. I wouldn't do that to any child.
No.
But fortunately, it gave me some tools for survival. And fortunately, I survived my own madness. And now I can say in 100% honesty that I'm in the best place I've ever been in my life. Even with all the baggage that I still carry in my soul and all the pain that I still carry, you know what? I am happier and I'm doing better now than I ever did. So fuck the past. I don't give a fuck about the past. I'm living today and I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
That's a great end.
You know?
Thank you very much, Harley.
My brother.
Hey, and I want to give you something at the end, but thanks for watching. For the passion of the fashion, like, share, subscribe now. And it was an honor to have this talk with this legendary
my man.
Harley Flanagan. Thank you very much.
Yo, I'm sorry I'm such a long-winded motherfucker. Just sometimes the mouth just goes. Peace.
Hey, we have here Jean Bell from Reuzel or what? Reuzel, Netherlands. Oh, you're from that area, right? From the Eindhoven area at least. Oh, well, what you want? Then we have to put subtitles on it. Hey,
Okay.
do you like it so far here in Dynamo Club?
Altijd goed om hier te komen. Het is natuurlijk al 2 jaar geleden dat we iets qua shows hebben gehad. Dus ja, super vet dat er weer hardcore shows georganiseerd worden in Eindhoven. En nou vanavond Cro Mags. Ja, super vet man.
Zin in.
Helemaal zin in.
Dankjewel, John. Gary from Scotland, right? From Scotland.
How you doing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you?
I'm on the spot, yeah. Speed and all that shit. Now what's happening? What you want?
What do you like? Do you like Holland? You like the Netherlands?
Yeah, man, it's good, man. It's fun, man.
You like the Dynamo Club?
I've only been here one time, man. So
Okay.
good, man.
Where are you from? Cro Mags? Let me see the shirt.
Yeah, asking. Oh,
Cheers for the Cro Mags, man.
Okay.
Cro Mags, obviously. A hometown crew, man.
They were cool, huh?
Yeah, man. Fucking
Also
great,
check Pressure Packs from my town.
Gonna go see them in about 20 minutes.
You have to
man.
check them out, they're cool.
Fucking,
Close, my friend. Close. We have here Steve Whitetalk from Belgium. The legendary diver and crowd surfer for many decades, right?
Kinda, yeah, probably.
Can we expect some dive from you tonight at the Cro Mags?
Oh yeah.
1 or 2 or 3?
4, 5 or 6 or something.
Okay.
Depends on the crowd, of course. But
And you're straight edge now?
yeah, I'm drinking Coke.
Okay, enjoy, brother. Here with René, the ex-drummer of the Bruiseheads, right?
Correct.
Are you happy to be here?
I'm very happy to be back. Yes.
Back in the scene, back at the Cro Mags.
Well, I've been back in the scene for a while, but it's been a while since I've been in Cro Mags, so yeah.
Okay.
Pretty happy.
Enjoy, René. Well, we are here at Dynamo Club in Eindhoven, the Netherlands. We're gonna see the first band, Hometown Heroes, here from the Netherlands. Some local youngsters who play hardcore.
Well, I need to
smashing Pact, sideline.
Pact. Cheers. You enjoyed the show tonight you played?
It was really cool, fucking great. You are Cro Mags.
It's honored that you can be the support act for the Cro Mags.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah. I'm psyched to see Harley's version. Yeah.
It's a legend.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Thank you very much. We have Pascal from Achel, Belgium. Are you here for tonight to see Cro Mags?
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to it?
Of course. Looking forward to it.
How often have you seen Cro Mags before?
Yes. A couple of times in the past as well. So every time they were here, they looked at.
Yeah, you've been here all the time they came here.
Yeah.
So, any wishes for tonight?
Oh, just to have a good time.
The best wishes.
Yeah, the best wishes. Okay, thank you.
Please do, man. Hey, man, you can stage dive all you motherfucking want. Just don't knock it the gear. Fuck, man, you can all come up there if you want. Just don't break my bass. I'll break your face.
Hey, Pasha! Oude geelpijp! Maatje!
Way back. And, you know, it's crazy when you write a song 10, 20, 30, 40 years later, it's still fucking true. And it goes out to my friends about the people in Ukraine. World peace can't be done.